Welcome to Intro to Politics for the spring 2019 semester. I'll be your professor, Richard Laird. So what I want to do for the next few minutes is go over the syllabus, and let's go ahead and get into the Moodle website. If you're watching this video, you pretty much, I would assume you've already gotten into Moodle, but if you have any questions on that, be sure to get with the help desk. What we'll do here on the front page of the Bergen website is go to mybergen.edu. We click on that, and that's going to get us into the portal page where all your personal information is, and over here on the right hand side is where all of the courses are. So we'll click on the course there, Intro to Politics, and that'll take us to the course page right there. And you can see I've got the syllabus posted, and I will be posting this video on there as well. And so let's click on the syllabus there and go ahead and take a look at that. Now, I'm not going to go through the syllabus word for word, but there are a few things that are worth talking about here before we get started. And there's my email, rlaird@bergen.edu, and I have a mail slot in room COC 107 on the Paramus campus there. Here's the course description. We're going to be looking at the basics of political science, and the textbook for the course is required. It is called Power and Choice, An Introduction to Political Science by Phillips Shively, and they just came out with a new 15th edition just last semester, so you will need to get that, because this being an online course, you will have to keep up with the readings, and so the textbook is extremely important for the online class. I'll also be working through Moodle exclusively, and everything will be posted there on Moodle. Now, we may communicate through emails occasionally, and perhaps some other tools that I'm looking at using as far as more direct face-to-face interaction there, but Moodle is going to be the platform where this would primarily be conducted through. And so the participation of the course is extremely important, being it's an online course. And keep in mind that this course is not self-paced. It's going to be, we're going to keep up with this on a weekly basis. We'll look at the schedule here in a minute, but you're going to need to check in on Moodle almost on a daily basis, just to make sure that you're keeping track with everything. And I will be taking attendance to the course by your participation on the weekly videos and the discussion questions. So whenever I host the videos, I'll probably have a discussion question along with the videos, and you will respond to that discussion question on the discussion forum for that week, and that way that will be your attendance, so to speak, for that week. So we'll look at the breakdown here in a minute, but attendance in this participation in your class exercises and that sort of thing is going to be 15% of the entire course grade. So already talked about the textbook. It's very important that you keep up with the readings and keep up with the video lectures that I'll be posting, probably about 2 videos per week. You can see right there. And this is very important. This is the schedule that we'll be adhering to. Each week will run from a Tuesday through a Monday. So we're starting up right now on January 15th. That's a Tuesday. So the first week will be January 15th through the next Tuesday. We'll look at the calendar here in a minute. But that will be your deadline pretty much for any type of assignments or exercises that are due for that week, is that I'll post them on Tuesday, and then you'll have till the end of the day next Monday to make sure that everything's been done so that we move on to the next week. So this is very important that you keep up with the lectures and with the exercises, the assignments, the discussion questions, and that sort of thing. Now, before I talk in detail on tests and papers, let's just zoom ahead here and look at the grading format for the class. And what we're going to have here is two major tests, a midterm test and a final test. And in the efforts to be fair and consistent and try to get the maximum efficient evaluation of each student, those two tests will be in the testing center on the Paramus campus. We'll look at the schedule here in a minute, but those will be the only two times that you would be doing anything on campus. And unfortunately, that's just the most efficient way, fair, consistent way of evaluating all the students is have at least two of the major tests there on campus. I'm also looking at 4 shorter online quizzes in all those total, and those will be shorter quizzes, obviously, that will be timed and have fewer chapters that we'll be covering. But all 4 of those together will combine will account for 20% of your grade. And so the tests are 60% of your grade. And I'm going to have 2 relatively short papers here and short essays, 4 pages each. And putting those 2 together is going to be another 25% of your grade. And then we've talked about class participation here as 15% of your grade. So let's go back and look at a few things in detail. As far as the tests go, as I said, 2 tests will be in the testing center, the midterm and the final. And they will include, there'll be a typical test with lots of variety of questions on it, multiple choice, matching, fill in the blank, true, false, short answer, and a short essay, which will require you to expound a little bit more on a particular topic that's being asked. For the 2 major tests, I'll be posting a study guide on Moodle as well as on the discussion board, where I'll open it up for any questions that we have before the test period. And again, that test will run 1 full week from Tuesday to the next Monday that you'll have to take that test. And just like a normal class, you'll have 75 minutes to take that test. And so you might want to confirm the testing center hours. You don't want to get caught short and miss the deadline and miss that test, because that's part of your responsibility to make sure that you're keeping up and you don't miss these deadlines. Confirm the hours of the testing center, that sometimes they close at 4:15 on Monday. So you want to make sure that you get there in time. The testing center is also open on Saturday mornings sometimes. So don't leave yourself short on taking these tests, because if you miss the test deadline, the tests will be taken up. They won't even be in the testing center after that deadline. So you will get a 0 on that test if you just flat out miss the test, and you certainly don't want to do that. We'll look at the schedule again here in a minute, but the online quizzes will be shorter, cover about 4 chapters each. They'll be timed and be open book, open notes, but you want to be careful with those, because if you think that you can take the online quiz with just by looking up the questions, you're not going to have time to do that. So you're going to want to be prepared by studying the material and preparing some notes ahead of time. I'll give you some insight on each video lecture as to what to focus on for a particular online quiz type of question there. So that'll give you a little bit of heads up. And so the test questions, several of those little online quiz test questions, will be pretty much testing that you actually watch the video. If you watch the video and paid attention to the video, you should remember that particular question. So we'll talk more about these as we need to as we go. Now, as far as the papers, I'm not going to talk about that in too much detail right now. As we go through the course, I'll be posting the instruction, more instructions for as far as what the topic for the test is. But you can read this again at your leisure. The first paper is due on March 4th. I'll probably give you the topic probably about 3 weeks or so, maybe more than 3 weeks ahead of that, so that you'll have time to start looking at that. And the final paper is due at the end of the class, so we'll talk about those in more detail keep in mind the writing assignment for these classes is for the purpose of critical analysis. These papers, these essays are not for you to spout your opinions. It's for the purpose of demonstrating what you have learned from the readings that you've been assigned for that particular topic. And what I will show you how to do is find the peer-reviewed academic journals, which are the, I'll even post a video on those as well, but those are the scientific journals where the articles of research are published. They go through the peer review process, the scientific method, and they are legitimate and credible sources to cite from. So that's what you're going to be doing with your essays. They are going to be telling me in your own words what you've learned about that topic, not about spouting opinions or editorializing, things like that. Now, there will be occasional class exercises in addition to the discussion forums. These will be maybe a couple of these where the class will have to kind of communicate together as a group and then provide a, I guess you could say, a class assignment there to where some representative in the class that you decide, so you'll be able to do a little bit of politicking through your electronic media as well, as far as compiling whatever it is you need to compile for that particular exercise, and somebody will put that on Moodle as far as the final submittal for that particular exercise. Now, cheating will, of course, not be tolerated, and it's the most serious, it's the worst single thing that you can do. And so during the testing period, you're not to communicate with each other as far as what's on the tests. And each paper, of course, will be that student's own work. Keep in mind, if there's any suspicious similarities between any papers or any particular test answers, that could warrant an investigation. You do not want to even think about that. So keep that in mind. The cheating is the single worst thing you can do in college, so don't even think about it. The sources, you will be citing from legitimate, credible sources, and then you're going to be paraphrasing those sources in your own words to tell me what you've learned about that particular topic. All right, now let's just look at the schedule here for a couple of minutes. As you can see, I've got it broken down for each week. First week, starting right up, I'll have 2 videos for the first 2 chapters of the book posted on Moodle. Watch those 2 videos. I'll probably ask a discussion question. Of course, for the first week, I will also invite all the students to provide a introduction to themselves. You know, open up a discussion forum for that so everybody can check in that for the first I guess attendance call. And so typically we're looking at 2 video lectures per week, straight in the order of the book. Much of the material comes out of the book. Some of the material is supplemental to the book, since I've been teaching this course for a long time. And but the book is a very good book. It's a fairly concise book. It's got a lot of information packed in a relatively small space. Very readable. Now, first online quiz I'm looking at on week 3 there might have something like a 15 or 20 minute time limit on it, with perhaps a dozen questions or so covering chapters 1 through 4. And then as we get into week 4, I'll post a video about the scientific method and then start talking about your paper topic and how to look up your peer-reviewed journals. And then chapter 6 will be talking, as one of the topics in that chapter will be about the Bill of Rights and our Constitution. So that'll be the first class exercise, is that everybody will think of an additional right that might be worth having if we wanted to have a constitutional amendment to give us another civil liberty or another civil right. And so everybody will submit their own idea for what might be a new additional right, and then I'll have you condense those into perhaps 8 or 9 additional Bill of Additional Rights there. Also, I'll post a video on tips for writing your paper, and then we'll have another online quiz week 6 there covering chapters 5 through 8. And as you can see, week 7, the first paper is due, 4-page essay there. So you want to lock in some of these dates as far as when things are due. And week 8, March 5th through 11th, is when the midterm test is going to be in the testing center, covering chapters 1 through 9. Some of the questions that were on the online quizzes will also be on this test as well. Now keep in mind, spring break actually starts Monday, March 11th, but the testing center does show to be open on that day, so you can still take the test up to that Monday, March 11th deadline, but you certainly want to confirm that. I do know that the testing center is also showing to be open on, I think it's Saturday morning, March 9th as well, Saturday morning. So just don't cut yourself short on these testing periods, whether it's an online quiz or, even more importantly, the testing center quiz. And then spring break, we'll go ahead and take that off as well. And week 9, we see we're getting into elections and parties. Week 10, week 11, we're going to have a third online quiz that covers chapters 10 through 13. These are the chapter titles, so each video lecture will cover each of these chapters, and we'll be looking at perhaps another class exercise down the road there. And then these are the remaining weeks, chapters 17, law and the courts, final online quiz. We'll wrap it up here with chapter 18, and your final essay, another 4-page essay, will be due on Monday, April 29th. And then the final week of the class will be open for the final test. So just wanted to take a few minutes there and run through the syllabus. And like I said, this is not a self-paced course. You want to keep up with this on a daily basis, and the assignments will be on a weekly basis. If I ask for a discussion question, it'll be due that week, and then we'll move on to the next week. So you want to keep up. It will be your responsibility to keep up with the readings, keeping up with the assignments, watching the video lectures. Now, feel free to shoot me an email if you have any questions. The first assignment that I'll want you to do, of course, is I'll set up a discussion forum, and everybody will check in and introduce themselves, and then we'll get right into it. So welcome to the class, and I'll be talking to you later.